And I'm the oldest daughter, I have been spending probably the last couple of months, a great deal of time with my parents, and so I've been able to hear all the stories. I think they both kind of know that the end is, my father knew the end was coming, and he wanted to reminisce a lot. And, he had his memories that he wanted to talk about, but the memories that I have that I keep thinking about now that he's passed are ones from my childhood that I think really illustrate who he was as a man. One of the things that I remember so vividly is a summer night up at our lake cottage, and my sister and I were probably about 6 years old, and he woke us up out of a sound sleep with my mother in the background saying, "But they were sleeping, Steve, they were sleeping, Steve." And he said, "Oh, I just want to show them the stars. It's such a beautiful night." So he took us out to the end of the dock, and it was a nice warm breeze, and he wanted to show us the constellations and teach us all about, here's the Milky Way, and here's the Big Dipper, and how to find them. And it was just a memory that I've always had, because he was so excited to show us this, and this was the perfect night, he decided, to show us all about the stars. And every time I look up at the sky, I think of that night when he taught us. And I think that the role of teacher was really the role that my father identified with. As we were growing up, he never missed an opportunity to teach us about something that he thought was wonderful. And he loved nature, and he loved the clouds. And we spent a lot of time commuting from Fort Wayne to our summer home in Rome City, and all of us would be piled in the back of a station wagon. But all along the way, it'd be saying, "Now look at those clouds up there, and that's a cumulus cloud up there, and that's a nimbus." Am I saying the word right? I'm not sure, but anyway, he very patiently, all of our lives, tried to guide us with knowledge, with wisdom, with inspiration in terms of our faith, which was very, very important to him. But he just had this sense of wonder and excitement and delight in the world. And I think that was important to him to share with us. If we went for a walk with him, it was like, "Oh, look at this little neat thing down here, it's called and he'd tell us what it was called, and, point out what kind of trees there were. And he always had little stories to go with all of them, "Oh, here's a hickory tree, and we always had one in our front yard, and my grandmother made, hickory nut bread," and just lots of stories we grew up with. And I think that a lot of families that I know, they don't know too much about their ancestors or their roots. And I think it was important for Daddy and my mother too, to talk about, their remembrances of their parents, and so all the little stories along the way. And I guess the other thing that I really would like to share, everybody says that he was a loving man, but I think that hearing some of the stories about how he was loving, my mother really was just his whole purpose for being. You talk all about family and the kids, but he told us early on that the most important thing to him was his marriage, because he wanted to lead by example. He wanted to show us what a good marriage was like and how to love, and that was the biggest legacy he wanted to leave with us. And he did show us in every way. It was, well, always being sensitive to my mother and what she wanted. We would, borrow a sweater from her and put our hands in the pocket and pull out our little love note from him. And he would come home and he would frequently bring flowers from cottage florist. He always brought like a single rose in a little glass globe that she loved. They would make a big deal of when he came home every night from work. We were all supposed to be setting the table and doing our chores, and they would take their little drink, their happy hour, and go into the den, and you'd hear them laughing, and that was the way they came together at the end of every work day. And just the example of love that we got from them is something that I feel like all of us are very blessed to have received, and that will certainly enrich our lives going forward. It's kind of that legacy of love and the sense of wonder and joy for the world around him that I think is his biggest legacy.